The Kazan Cathedral was being built for 10 years and at that time was considered the largest temple in St. Petersburg. By the design, the cathedral has the shape of the Latin cross. Following the tradition, its sanctuary is pointing to the east. The northern facade of the cathedral, with a great adjoining colonnade consisting 96 columns of Corinthian order, faces the Nevsky Prospect. Columns, carved from enormous granite monoliths, were placed in 4 rows, each about 13 meters in height and up to 30 tons in weight. The portico in the middle of this colonnade is decorated with the bronze figures of John the Baptist, Saint Andrew the Apostle, Saint Vladimir of Kiev and Alexander Nevsky. The cathedral has an oval dome with a gilded cross on top. In 1799, the Emperor Paul I announced a contest for the project of a new cathedral which was intended to replace the dilapidated Church of Nativity of Theotokos. Following the contest's indispensable condition, the new cathedral was to resemble the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and include a grand colonnade. The contest brought together prominent architectures of that time: P. Gonzaga, C.H. Cameron, D. Trombara, Jean Thomas de Talman. However, the emperor approved the project suggested by a young, gifted and little-known architecture Andrei Voronekin. The laying of the foundation stone of the cathedral took place on August 27 in 1801. The ceremony was attended by the Emperor Alexander I, who newly ascended to the throne. On the day of his coronation, on September 15, 1811, the cathedral was consecrated. During the Napoleonic Wars, Commander-in-Chief of the Russian Army, General Mikhail Kutuzov, asked for the intercession of Our Lady of Kazan, and from then on the cathedral became closely associated with this war, and Russia's victory. Statues of Kutuzov and Barclay de Tolly stand outside the cathedral, and Kutuzov is buried inside. The famous Russian poet wrote verses. The cathedral is notable as the site of the first major political protest in Russia in 1876, the Kazan demonstration. The cathedral was closed in January 1932, and reopened later the same year as the Museum of the History of Religion and Atheism. In 1992, religious services were once again held in Kazan Cathedral, and 4 years later, it was reconsecrated. Today, Kazan Cathedral is the mother cathedral of St. Petersburg. Kazan Cathedral, also known as the Cathedral of Our Lady of Kazan and Kazansky Kathedralny Sobor, is a large and impressive 19th-century cathedral in St. Petersburg, Russia. Designed by Andrei Voronekin, Kazan Cathedral was modeled on Rome's Basilica of St. Paul. Many leading Russians disliked the idea of building a Catholic-style basilica in Russia's capital. Nevertheless, construction started in 1801, and it's thought the Tsar, Paul I, intended to build a similar monument on the opposite bank of the river. The cathedral was completed in 1811 by his son, Tsar Alexander I. The finished cathedral still has traditionally Orthodox overtones, including a dark interior and a huge, 80 meters high dome. The icon of Our Lady of Kazan resides inside, and remains extremely popular with believers. The colonnades stretch over 111 meters, and enclose an ornate garden. Many view the cathedral's construction as Paul's great attempt to unite Eastern and Western Christianity.
The cathedral was inspired by the Basilica of St. Peter's in Rome and was intended to be the country's main Orthodox church. After the War of 1812, during which Napoleon was defeated, the church became a monument to Russian victory. Captured enemy banners were put in the cathedral, and the famous Russian Field Marshal Mikhail Kutuzov, who won the most important campaign of 1812, was buried inside the church. The cathedral was named after the miracle-making icon of Our Lady of Kazan, which the church housed till the early 1930s. The Bolsheviks closed the cathedral for services in 1929, and from 1932 it housed the collections of the Museum of the History of Religion and Atheism, which displayed numerous pieces of religious art and served anti-religious propaganda purposes. A couple of years ago regular services were resumed in the cathedral, though it still shares the premises with the museum, from whose name the word atheism has now been omitted.